Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I welcome you once again all. Now I request research scholar Shivani to introduce our speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. As for our next speaker for the session, I would like to introduce you all to Professor Lourdunathan for his brief profile. And his area of specialization are epistemology and ethics of liberation in Western and Indian philosophical and cultural approach. His academic experience. He currently is a head Center for Peace and Reconciliation Studies, Indian Social Institute, Town, Bangalore. He is visiting Professor of Philosophy, JAWAHARLAL NEHRU University in New Delhi for past 2 years. He's a head and professor of philosophy for 33 years, Department of Philosophy, another college, Madurai, Kamraj University, Madurai. He has been principal for St. Joseph Women College, Salem for 1 year. And as for his research experience, he is PhD guide who awarded for 9 scholars and also guided ICBR research projects. He also completed 2 UGC research projects on hermeneutics of liberation, and second is Heidegger's critique of technocratic society, and one minor projects on medical ethics. His publication, he published 7 books on themes related to Dalit, hermeneutics, metaphysics, postmodern readings, liberation discourse, social philosophy, research methodology, social theology. He published several research articles related to philosophy and religion and social and human rights concern. He also given special lectures, national and international level, on Asian philosophy and religion to Royal University Social Science at Phnom Penh, Cambodia. On justice, peace, faith, implication in the Asian context, keynote address at Hansing University, Seoul, Korea. On climate change, responses from Hinduism at Stuttgart, West Germany. Research trends in social science at University Putra, Malaysia. On emerging trends in liberation philosophy, UGC special lecture series at Jodhpur University, Kolkata. Several memorial and UGC ICBR lectures on phenomenology, hermeneutics, language, and philosophy at Madras University, Calicut University, Sankaracharya University, Kerala, Annamalai University and Madurai Kamraj University, Central University, Pondicherry Central University, and his educational qualification, his academic qualification is MA MPhil, PhD in philosophy, MA political science, and diploma in Gandhian studies. Please welcome Professor S. Lourdunathan.
You have correctly pronounced my name. She was practicing.
It just learned, sir.
Huh?
Just learned.
Yes, great.
Which state you belong to? UP.
Yes,
Agra.
Agra. I'm really happy that Professor May has made it a possibility to visit you again. I think 2 months back in a bigger hall and again here, even though now the participants are less than. And more happy in the presence of my own Professor Paneerselvam and colleague Sheikala. And we are in association through academics in the Center of Philosophy for a journey a long time we started ago. We continue without any retirement. So I should thank you and I should appreciate you for choosing, as Professor Paneer was telling, choose understand epistemology from the dimension of Buddhist dimension, choosing Dharmakirti work. I think that's a very good direction. Things have to be taken which has much more relevance in today's social context and discussion. And that's really good, I should appreciate. I remember this department where we, Shantakumari is absent but present by means of a phone call just now. She wished regards to Professor Amir and Shikala, asking how things are going on. Well, thank you very much for this moment. I will not be technical because morning sessions they are quite informative, very, very technical. I am establishing the composition of the epistemic position of Dharmakirti's Nyayabandha. So let me try not to be technical and try to observe both the scholars and try to see where it can be somewhere or other finds expression. To begin with, I think Professor Palli was making a beautiful statement. A text and followed by Srikala, the text on the text. No, the text needs to be recontextualized in the sense of context. I think that's probably kind of attempt I would like to make so that you feel and we feel as a philosophy community comfortable enough, not only technically, but more in the sense of theory of the practice of it. So in that sense, let me title this way. Buddhism derived through Dharmakirti's Nyayabandha. Naturally, one question arises. How does Dharmakirti derive Buddhism? You know he belongs to Buddhism. He has a strong epistemology and logician of Buddhist school of thought. And morning Srikala was telling that he was born of a Hindu Brahmin family, something happened and moved to conversion, moved to Buddhism. So in other words, why and how Nyayabandha derives Buddhism through his epistemic treatment. This is more of a personal biographical connotation that makes me to ask that question to Kirti, Acharya Dharmakirti, why Buddhism? But being born in the Hindu, you must have retied the Orthodox tradition. But why Buddhism, the so-called Orthodox tradition? What is that moment of conversion? What is that thing that... So biographically I am asking, you can also ask the question, either to Professor and Srikala or to Dharmakirti, why he moved to Buddhism once having born in a very, very Orthodox, erudite, scholarly family. So do you get my question? Do you get my question? Why Buddhism when other isms were available? And whether isms like the Orthodox isms were available in terms of Nyaya Vaishishika, in terms of Advaita Vedanta, in terms of Ekamsat, in terms of Advaita, and in terms of Shantya, then these strong schools are available. He has chosen Orthodox system of thought, naturally Buddhism. So this is more of a personal question. You should ask me later or ask our own professor and resource persons here. Let me put it this way. I think one possibility, one of my way of interpreting, hermeneutically engaging Kirti is that his intentional object is annihilation of the mental construction. Now you know to bring down whatever discussed in the morning, both from Professor Kabir Salur and from Srikala. Perception is devoid of and the devoid of are two-dimensional. Clear? If perception has to be valid, if perception has to yield correct, valid cognition, I think Srikala made a very clear point, it should be devoid of. Devoid of means what? Removal of. Removal of means what? Annihilation of. Annihilation of means what? Total negation of. Negation of two important realms. One realm, the mental constructs, right? The mind construct, which we use the word the Kalpana Bodha, Bandi and Srikala already introduced. So that we need to divide up from the mental construct. And what is mental construct? Next question follows. What is mental construct? Chara Solomon, anybody can respond. What do you think is a mental construct? A valid cognition perception must be divided up on two conditions: mental construct and physical error, erroneous judgment. That is what morning Srikla was telling about. Perception is non-judgmental. So let me take up that particular line, and then what is called mental construct. Can somebody explain to me? What do you think a mental construct?
Personal creation of
Is it a personal creation, a mental construct? Possibly. There is a sense of. I will give a best example, which you will never forget. The bottle of water she is having. What's your name, ma? Huh? Jammi is having a bottle of water. It is water. The statement that it is water is a linguistic construction of a reality water. Am I right? Suppose Jammi comes and tells me, she brought the water all the way from Ganges and therefore it is holy. Now tell me what is real about it. The water is liquid. The water is holy. Which statement is a mental constructed statement? Second, right? So what is called a mental construction? Adichi alli varadu conventional. That is what? That is what Kirti in the most simplest language I could digest it. I could absorb it. Right? To be devoid of epistemological cognitive inquiry of right apprehension, then it should be devoid of the mental construct. What's your father's name?
Jonas.
Jonas. His parents named him Jonas. He is Jonas. And the language construct. Murili Utpatti. Now Jonas is telling, I am a father. Where is the father in Jonas? Remove his shirt, you can see father. No. That is a convention, construction, cultural, mental construction. Not physical error. It is not to say the water is holy is a mental construct. As saying that Mr. Jonas is a father is equally a mental construct. A construct can be linguistic when it is expressed in a language. A construct can be conventional when it is expressed through a culture of language. Is it clear? So, right cognition is not repeating what Dharmakirti said, but to apprehending Dharmakirti in the sense of what is it that he wants us to avoid in our perception about the reality. The dividends are two types, only both professors were telling us. One is to divide our mental construct. Right? We have number of constructs in our own everyday day-to-day life. Is it clear? If the cat comes across, you will not, that is not a right servant. That is mental construct. Is it clear? Right? If the tali is not given in the right auspicious time, the tali is reversed. That is mental construct. Bloody hell, we are not able to get out of this mental construct. And Kirti is telling very nicely into her air, very softly, since experience of the air is telling, devoid of mental construct, constructed in and through language and history and society. For him, language is a construct. Are you ready for divide of it? Will you do that? Very difficult. Very difficult. Lena, one of the mental construct is the construct in terms of ideology. Indian philosophy is both ideological as well as technically epistemological. Ideological in the sense of promoting a sense of false consciousness as if it is real consciousness with an epistemological argument of snake and the rope. If you remove the snake and the rope, Indian philosophy will fall down. Young Professor is agreeing. So correct. That is called Shabda. Let me come to you very close.
No other synonymous is.
That's only synonyms available in the entire narration. We have been repeating for several years. Well, that synonym has got a certain luminary illumination which is called illusion or mental illusion. Now that is a physical error. That is what the second type of error which I think Srikala was telling about தமிழ்ல அபர்த்தம்னு சொல்லுவோம். அவன் திபேட்ல அபர்த்தம் சொல்றான். அவ்வளவுதான் வித்தியாசம். இது அபர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா என்ன சொன்னேன்? இது பிசிக்கல் எரோனியஸ் ஜட்ஜ்மெண்ட். Physical error. Is it clear? It is possible because to see the snake as a rope is the problem lies in the rope. To see the snake as a rope, whose problem? Is the problem of the rope? Is the problem of the person who is seeing the rope? No prachana. No prachana. It is your perceptual error. Seriya? Based on the perceptual error, we have got one morning, I think Srikala meant superimposition, theory of fallacy, I think. So my title is Annihilation of both mind construct, imagination, illusion is the first step to knowledge. அது இல்லைன்னா நீ அறிவும் கிடையாது. அதான் திருத்தியும். அதுக்கு நீ ரெடி ஆகலன்னா, if you are not ready for it, then your structuring of knowledge for another few years is waste. Will be empty without any perception. You know, Kant talks about concepts and percepts. I'll come back. So in that sense, my claim, reason enna, inspired or taking from inspiration from Kirti, is to synchronize the particular and the universal by way of transcending the boundaries of the particular and the claims of the universe. You understand? I think you have to bring together both the lectures and then come to this. Almost I am concluding my paper. You have to bring together, synchronize the particular and the universal by a sense of transcending the binaries. This is black and that is white. That is a binary. And black is contrasted with white. White is contrasted with what? With what? Black. Jonas is having white cloth, he is pure. My friend Edward is in black cloth, therefore he is impure. Tapa right? He is born of a low caste with other category of gunas, tamas. He is born of an high caste with other category of higher category of rajas. Binary, hierarchy. If a there is a why Kirti went away from the orthodoxy to the orthodoxy. Do you understand this? When we study philosophy, studying in the sense, the way philosophy informs to my sense of perception. So that is why I say, by transcending the categories of my life. So I am coming to that kind of conclusion from the methodology. From a methodology called taking certain clue from structural linguistic analysis of what makes meaning meaningful. I remember my Professor Robert's class long time back, but then played later. From a structuralist insight, I am trying to read Kirti's epistemic position. I think morning Srikala made a very clear presentation of both the pramanas in terms of inference as well as in terms of perception. So I let me do this agricultural business of exploding it rather than putting things in the way it has been put. That is important, but this is another way of understanding. Let Kirti speak to us. So my first question, Kirti has embraced Buddhism. In what sense Buddhism is technically compact? First in what sense Buddhist metaphysics, epistemology, ethics are logically implying each other? In what sense it's a very strong rope? In what sense it binds its theory of understanding, knowledge, its theory of reality and its theory of value relation, social relation? And how does Kirti, Dharma Kirti, establishes this internal consistency of epistemology, metaphysics and ethics through his epistemological canon of reason? Are these questions difficult? I'm just asking, in what sense Buddhism is intact? Then how, being a Buddhist, Kirti establishes that intactness through his Nyaya. This is a basic question. Is it clear? The answer already Professor, my own book, Srikala and Professor Anekamsat has massively explored. The simple response is, it is through perception and inference. He asserts the sense of true cognition. It is through perception, sensation and inference, cognition is possible. There I am putting one more question for you in search of, through perception and inference, how does he assert the particular, what he call, I think Srikala was telling, Swalakshana and the Samanya Lakshana, vice versa, synchronizing together. Is my question clear with you? Are you okay with that? Morning there was a long discussion. I think that the student asked all the particular perspectives, can we put them together? I am putting the same question differently. Where this merging point, transcending point, the middle part of the Swalakshana and the what I call Samanya Lakshana is brought together, simultaneously transcended together. That is why I am using the word synchronizing. I am not going to the philosophical background. Professor Srikala has very clearly established. My question is embrace of Buddhism for its philosophical and social ethics? This is my basic theoretical position. Forget that. So some of these theses which I already told you, let me read again. The Buddhist epistemology is intrinsically related with its metaphysics, and metaphysics in turn is related with ethics. That these three important areas constitutes an integral constituency of Buddhism. They are interdependent, and the interdependent nature of reality leads to moral disposition. To hold a theory is not enough, and theory should have some kind of applicable value. To say that there is a gravitational force, when you apply it, you discover aeroplanes. Is it clear? To say that bird is Maya, what you have discovered? So many years you have been telling. To say that there is a gravitational force, you can work against it, you can fly up in the sky. We have been telling Maya and real and Maya, what we have discovered. We are rediscovering the same old thing. But then, Kirti is trying to unloosen it. So, logical flow of Buddhism is established by Dharmakirti. The purpose of Kirti then is annihilation of absolute truth claims. I think it was put in a different language by Srikala in the morning. Annihilation of any judgment, non-judgmental. That's the word she was using. Annihilation of any absolute claim, truth claims, either by mental construct or by conventional cultural construct. This should be the natural purpose, right? Right. Any absolute claim as a true claim, even physicists will not agree with you. Right? Physicists, the neo-physicists will never agree with any claim that is absolute. Is it clear? And physics and philosophy, they are married together many years back. Only we have divorced from it. Physics and philosophy are married several years back. Only we have taken a cult who doesn't want to physics in our philosophical tradition. The marriage, the combination of physics and philosophy is excellent. Even in Advaita, consciousness unlimited is the sense of not non-absolute sensibility. Now that's a definition. Now the context of Buddhism, again I will make this clear. There is a sense of ritual rigidity. What do you mean by ritual rigidity? What is the sense of ritual rigidity? You make judgment passed on through rituals, right? Understanding is passed on through ritual. One ritual, if I go to his church, he will pour some water, I feel my body is purified. Yeah. And he keeps on repeating that. And every time he repeats, I feel my body is purified. I bring a mental image, my body will be purified if and only if I go to the conversion of purification ceremony. That is ritual. I am not against, but you should understand how constructs becoming ritualized. And there is anti-realism position. This is by this false social convention. What would be the false social convention in India? I think Lourdunathan will be able to tell us. What is the best false social convention in India? Patriarchy? Hierarchy? In what sense it is hierarchy? In the sense of caste stratification. In the sense of cosmic, devoid of mental construct, apply inga. Devoid of physical error, apply inga. Parcha matti eludha. Use this bloody mind and tell devoid of this picture, which is conceptually misleading conception. I call it Kalpana Bodha. And casteism as avartam, anantam. From your language you take it. Therefore, these two, both mind construct by perception and by convention and by tradition, by linguistic cultural heritage, the mental construct and the what I call the social construct are, I am using little bit of structuralism here, that structuring binary relation by a mode of categorization. Structuring binary relation by a mode of categorization. Mind is employing this sense of categorization of reality to see the reality in terms of black and white. The tribal and the civilized is again way of you see it in the black and white. The priestly and the non-priestly, black and white. The professional and unprofessional, black and white. Right? The husband is superior, the wife is inferior, black and white. Is it clear? And wife is supposed to be domestic. Husband is role in there. And who is not domestic. Is it clear? My wife is domestic because she is at home. I am undomestic because I am outside. And I am justified patriarchy. So, structuring binaries. What do you mean? To look at the world in terms of a logic, which structure is like the logic of binary relation. The logic of binary relation. That the Purusha is versus Prakriti. What is the relation between Purusha and Prakriti in our Purusharthas? Do you know any Prakriti Arthas in Indian philosophy? We have Purusharthas. Do you know any Prakriti Arthas? We never have a tendency to ask a question on that. That's why we are conventionally constructed, legitimized, institutionalized our by not to think away from the way the tradition has thought. So I think Kirti was the second Buddha who opposed both the mental and the social construct, not simply by running an NGO business, like epistemology, not running a religion, by metaphysics. A metaphysics that rejects metaphysics. By an epistemology of what we call Shanikavada. A metaphysics of what? Pratitya. Dependent. I am dependent. My knowledge is dependent from the knowledge I derive from Professor Paniksalam. In our mutual dependency, we feel we are conscious of. Not we are attached to them. We are conscious of. And that consciousness is in the moment of present. It is in the moment of flux. And they beautifully explains it. I put it in a very simple language. For example, I say, when I met Professor Murthy first time in 1985 or 84 in the classroom. He was teaching me symbolic logic. Then he was my professor in Madras University. Then when I became a teacher or a professor, we had several occasions we met. After several years, I am meeting him now. Now, perception, which is direct value knowledge, that is what Professor Srikala was also very clearly exposing. Perception is a direct valid cognition provided on the condition it is devoid, it avoids what? Bloody illusion and the mental construct. You understand? One mental construct is ritualistic mental construct, that I will go to heaven only through this path of ritualism. You know the social construct is your construct of what? The hierarchy of binary relation in terms of categorization of human being. I think Professor Patel made a beautiful human experience. It is closer to human sense of the sensibility of the sentient being, that I am language. The sensibility of the sentient being, human experience. And that is the invitation of Kirti and Buddhism. Buddhism is not antithesis. Buddhism is not an antithesis. epistemology and the metaphysical orientation of Kirti is not an antithesis. In very important sense, it is a synchronizing any boundaries, opposition, either a mental opposition or physical erroneous judgment. A physical erroneous judgment, morning you must, if you listen carefully, Srikala was telling, a person traveling in the boat, that was the example Kirti is also giving. In the boat, on both sides of the banks of the river, tree looks moving. Is it clear? It was a visual illusion, physical error, caused by cause-effect relations, right? In the sense of in the sense of what you call physical, which we will call it that way. So there is a sense of structuring binaries. Both mind is a binary, it structures, as well as the social, against which, in favor of sentient being, the love, the compassion, karunya, mahakarunya of the compassionate, that is not Buddhism. Is it clear? That in that sense, Buddhism is identified by three important theses. The epistemological thesis is what? Momentariness, infinite sensibilities of flux in my understanding, because every moment is a moment of change, number one. Then the change leads to dependency of each sentient being, dependent. Number old explanation, dependent origination, dharma, transformation, Vila. That is where a reading of Buddhism. I am happy when you started reading Buddhism from Buddhist books. There is another dimension of reading of Buddhism right from very Hiriyananda. That will take you to another way, wheel of transmigration, put you there, and never you can become out of that bicycle. Is it clear? You study Buddhism from its own roots, and there you can embrace the smell of, the taste of, the audacity of. Is it clear? And that is what Kirti is inviting. Let me do a little bit of thing in linguistic structuralism. Is it clear? There was a person by name Frege, he talks about sense and reference, and Buddhism talks about waxing moon and the waning moon. When Frege talks about the morning star and the evening star, Buddhism has a beautiful analogy of what? Waxing moon and the waning moon. You see the Buddhist symbol? ஒரு மூணு இருக்கும், ஒரு ஒயிட் பேட்ச், ஒரு பெண்டு, ரெண்டு பேர் என்ன இருக்கும்? Synchronize ஆகும். In the image of it. Is it clear? We don't get opposed. இது ஒரு அட்ராம் ஒரு பெண்டு இருக்கும். They synchronize and provides the possibility of our understanding. He makes a distinction between what you call sense and what you call reference. In Buddhism we have a classical analogy. Then a waxing moon telling to Tamil. வளர்பிறை தேய்பிறை பாட்டில் இருக்குல்ல, வளர்பிறை தேய்வு is very வளர்பிறை தேய்வு. Does the moon wax or wanes? Does the moon darkens or brightens? No. That means the idea is the reality, when you put it in a language, you can put it in different meaning layers. Right? Do you understand me? The morning star is same as the evening star, provided it refers to what? Venus. So, it is language construct. That needs to be what? That is one type of construct taken up by Saussure. In the inside, Saussure is taken very significantly. I am jumping from Germany to France. He talks about a word can be understood in two layers of meaning. One layer of meaning he calls it the signifier. Another layer of meaning he calls it what? Signified. Put it in a simple language. You call the dog. Okay, I have a dog here. I name the dog. What name we can give the name? Which name you like for a dog here? Tiger? Imagine you have a dog. Mentally constructed. And what name we can give to the dog here? Tiger. Is a tiger dog? You are naming it. The reference is dog. Your naming is what? What? Tiger. Sense is tiger. reference is what? And an eye. Suppose you name the dog Lord Krishna. If the dog will be angry with you or happy with you? If my father has named me dog, that example will be much more easy for you to digest. If my parents have named me dog, how will you call me? Professor Dog, you are most welcome to Manchester University. Said brother, if my parents have named me dog, today well would have invited me, Professor Dog, you are most welcome to Manchester University and have a lecture. Thus my naming is a sense attributed to me, attribution. My naming is a sense attributed by linguistic constructor. By naming me Anthony, I don't become Anthony. By naming the dog doesn't become tiger. Otherwise, stop. Today, mental construct. I say, Mr. X is a Brahmin, Mr. Y is a non-Brahmin. அது வேறு நாய்க்கு டைகர் பேர் தான். Mr. X is a Brahmin, Mr. Y is a non-Brahmin. It is something like the dog named Tiger, and this one is named Pucha, Poodle. That is what Kirti is beautifully bringing out. Devoid of, avoidance of, annihilate, maybe of, negative pressure, dialectics of this construct. Is that clear? And there is a beautiful story Kirti and Buddhism is employing. I must just remind you of that and then quickly come to the conclusion. Okay. The story between hunter and hunter, you know the story. The hunter observed the habit of the deer. It's a Buddhist story. The deer every day comes, the antelopes and the deer every day comes, eats fruits fallen down from the tree. The hunter is always observing. He observed it, he observed the habituation, and then he thought he's a hunter, he needs something to be hunted. He needs a husband, he needs a wife to be hunted, right? A Purusha needs a fraternity, right? A priest needs a reverend sister, right? Is it clear? Right? A white needs a black, right? A black doesn't need a white. Is it clear? Right? The male needs a female, right? The hunter needs a hunter. Hunter needs the university needs you. If you are not there, university is not here. Neither us. And we have a system, a structure of a relation. And that system will always recruit you. Not that you become useless, like we become useless. That's a different sense of it. So the hunter waits for the deer, and the deer sense experiences something strange. And the immediacy of sense, I think Professor Padil made it in the morning. The immediacy of sense, is it clear? The sensation as the first stage of knowledge. In senses, there is something wrong in the atmosphere, right? So it avoids, it looks like there is some danger. Is it clear? Girls, when you walk in the dark, sometimes you have that sense. There are too many boys, only one girl, you have a sense, very strong sense, what will happen to me, right? That's a different question. Right? That's immediacy of sensation. The first stage, I think both Professor and Professor Srikla was telling us about the sense knowledge. The deer or the antelope smells. The atmosphere is wrong, therefore it stops. The habituated hunter, the upper caste, habituated, culturally produced hunter. Is it clear? You have a problem of Ayurveda doesn't put that. The habituated hunter by religion, by culture, by convention, by language, by choice of certain cultural habituations. Is it clear? He waits. As his language epistemic power is greater. He can aim. He can also ask the finger of other fellow for an offering of suffering and make the other fellow suffer. You understand what I am trying to tell you? The hunter waits, and then the hunter starts throwing the fruit. The natural disposition of sense irudhuchina. The natural disposition of human sense is to feel the presence, right? To feel the smell of the flower, right? when the flower is smelling, I'm happy. I like jasmine smell. And I cannot say jasmine is holy. Smell is nice. Now, வார்த்தையை போடுறேன். Jasmine or holy flower, divine flower. Chambarati is not divine flower. I mean, Hibiscus is not divine flower. You are naming the dog either as a tiger or as a pucha, either as a Brahmin or as a non-Brahmin. Senses are different. And it is a construction. Even language is construction now. That is why they are telling no absolute truth. You get the language. I mean, you get applied understanding of what has been put in the morning in a very serious epistemological session. Is it clear? The way that I need to agriculturalize Kiti towards me. Is it clear? The way in which I grow into the spirit of Buddhism. The hunter waits. The hunter is also conscious. Is it clear? The discriminator is also conscious that he is discriminated, otherwise he has made consciousness. And the hunter, the higher, the orthodox is also conscious that he is discriminated. Is it clear? In their mutuality, binary relation is maintained by a system of hierarchy, constructed, which becomes high institution. So it avoids and it asks as the tree, dear tree, usually the tree you fall, you give the fruits from the sky down to the earth. Now the fruits are flying towards me. Why? Now the sense is little more closer. Your sense, is it clear? Is coming little more mental consciousness. Second stage, Professor was telling, right? Mental sensation, mind. So he is coming closer. Why tree used to fall down, put down the fruit from the branch? Now the fruits are what? Flying towards me. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. You go to God and pray. God, I give you, you give me this. God, I give you, you give me this. Either the constructing. I have seen in Velaniki, they offer everything in the world. From Mayur to Dainu. Look here, they offer this and they offer curd. And you know, Velaniki Mother is famous for curd making. Other she comes to live her portion. All right? Mental construct. Kalpana Bodha, Anartham, Abartham, physical error and mental construct. Buddhists are silently inviting, whispering warrior, Appa, Annihilate, become conscious of the present. Become conscious of the present. And do not live in your father's shoe, even though it is old. But it is very old. Right? My father's shoe has been worn by my father. For my love, devotion, reverence. That doesn't mean I can walk in that shoe. Everything of the tradition is exceptionally good to overcome. And they give us help. Like Jali. You know, they give us help. Worn out English is worn out shoes. சரியா அதான் நாளைக்கு ஓடணும் அது என் சைஸ் பத்தாது ஆனா அதை கொண்டு நீங்க போட்டுக்கிறேன் யூ ஆர் ஆஃப் திஸ் பவுண்ட் யூ ஆர் ஆஃப் திஸ் கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ட் யூ ஆர் திஸ் என்னடா இது புரியவே இல்லை ஐ எம் பிக் ஐ எம் 64 I never understood this mental construct what is appearance and what is really the one out so the rabbit the antelope becomes conscious now coming closer mind becoming conscious. Mind becoming conscious. And then he tells me, hey, my dear tree, you used to give fruit like blessing from heaven. Now you are growing. Becoming conscious that there is always a hunter. There is always a hunter. So the hunter left in this way and the hunted was never to be hunted again. Because the hunted become self-conscious. And the third, what he was telling, wonderful in the morning. Self-consciousness as a constituency of perception. So what are the individual constituency parts? Number one, what? The immediacy of sensation. Right? Number two, what? Mind sensation. Number three, what? Self-consciousness. Where I have got self-consciousness is, for Buddhists, for Kirti, is simultaneously the other consciousness. In every self-consciousness, the other consciousness is already present. In every self-consciousness, the other consciousness is already present. In the other consciousness, the self-consciousness is already present. We are mutual. That's the theory of dependent existence. Synchrony, symphony. When you play organ or guitar or violin, if I play, you will not like it. Probably if George play, you will like it because he may be a musician. Because he brings out symphony. Yellow wire is this bigger wire is higher wire, Brahmin wire. This is the lowest wire, non-Brahmin wire, or a music wire. But you ultimately end up this a society of total absolute destruction. The total absolute destruction, which is constructed in the very mind and the language and the culture of it against it. So that's what he's talking about. I'm using Sasur. After all, it is a phonemes and their morphemes. It is a phoneme means what? The way I have been called right from my childhood until now, Mr. Dog. அது ஒரு சத்தம். அது என்ன பெரிய புனிதம் இருக்கு. இவர சாமியார் கூப்பிட்ட ஒரு சாமியார் ஆயிடுற. அது ஒரு சத்தம். It's a sound image. இவர் ஒரு கன்வென்ஷனலா ஒரு இமேஜ் சொல்லியிருக்காரு. அப்படின்னா இவங்க வந்து இப்படிதான் இருப்பாங்க. அப்பீரன்ஸ் ஆட்டு பாதி சட்டை போட மாட்டாங்க, நூல் கட்டிக்குவாங்க, கட்டி போட மாட்டாங்க, சரியா பியூரா இருப்பாங்க. அது ஒரு சோசியல் கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ட். அதை சுத்தி கங்கையில குளிச்சா பியூர். If you take water in Pondicherry, you are not that pure. Again, mental, social, cultural conversion. Is it clear? I think, I strongly hold, and I will argue, Kirti is inviting us today through Professor and I see very supporting me, that we become self-conscious. By becoming self-conscious, the other conscious. And there is a fourth constituent element which both of them pointed out in the morning. I am not going to the text of it. What is the fourth consciousness? Contemplative consciousness. That is yogi jnana. Right? Yogi jnana. Is that right? And yogi consciousness is not me. Not all yogis are highly conscious, sensitive people. This is கோயில் இடிக்கும், கோயில ரேப் பண்றோம். சிதம்பரத்துல is it clear? Yogi consciousness do not discriminate. ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். Yogi consciousness a higher level of contemplative, self-reflective consciousness in terms of the sentient being in their mutuality. The conceptual crowd is the particular is the universal. The universal is in the particular. When I say Professor Panneerselvam, I see right now momentary experience and I make a judgment by way of comparing my image in 1985 and now I say he is the same person. He is making a beautiful logic there, excluding the past and the present are through comparison are merged together and we forget the past, only remember the present. Is it clear? There is a problem of exclusion. Is it clear? In that sense, I think so therefore, Dharmakirti considered that knowledge attained by perception is particular. I think Professor Shikala was repeatedly telling, and that particular judgment is non-constructive, not a theology. Theology is a construction, my dear father. Philosophy is non-constructive, my dear students. Because every moment it approaches either the language or reality or the reality of the world, it tries to understand the way we understand. That's knowledge. It's not understanding. It tries to understand the way we understand. That's not philosophy. Text repetition, reproduction is not philosophy. That's the repression of thought. Repression. first class program, you are best scholar. You are the worst scholar. And you are reproducing the text. Not in Srikala, a very good observation. The non-text. There are other contexts that are addressed. In the way sort of going on in class failure. They are not understood this secret. I think my life in my philosophical journey, I should have taken another dimension. So this particular non-constructive,
Devoid of physical error.
for instance, I said,
Professor Paneerselvam, I see now this particular does not arise out of my any
illusion or error.
theory of correspondence.
Is treated as one of the conditions, not as the only condition. Here there you find the empirical school of David Hume of West. Kirtila would set ahead. He doesn't reduce, I think, that discussion, Professor Srikala actually opened up discussion, there are not questions. It is not correspondence theory of truth. Referential epistemic theory of truth. Of sense experience is the validity of truth condition. I think it goes beyond the sensation, the immediacy, consciousness of the other, and self-consciousness of me, and not only that, reflective contemplative consciousness. I am yogic now. It is your super. I don't think Kirti has ever asked you to memorize the verse. It is good for an exam, knowing, study. Is it clear? By memorizing a prayer, will Jesus give me heaven? Next word. By memorizing a where will I be blessed to go with the Vedic Vidya Mukti? Or Nananaga? And I get a luck. Is it clear? When I begin a talk, I go with a verse of this. Keep your mind alive and active. Notice what a basic invitation is. You become alive to the very presence of the present in your consciousness, right? Devoid of any mental, social, physical construct. Like the antelope, like the deer, which becomes aware of. It becomes aware of. The past and the present, when you bring it together in your mental perception, there is the reason of comparison is already worked out, and the logic of Aristotelian identity is placed under it, and it's only a matter of again a mind construct. Identity is only what? Mind construct. That's what I believe. I think I won't speak like so.
I think all this.
And inference, the morning, Srikala gave enough time on inference, being one day, Anumana for yourself. Then one of the Yosidal, they are very class. I mean, another class. Self Anumana. Inference for what? For oneself. That is the starting point of reasoning. Then he talks about inference for the sake of the individual and the other synchronizing in every branch of his school of thought. In the logical canon in Tatipata, other than the synchrony, symphony is you can enjoy the music of Buddhism, playing so beautifully well in your sensual experience of it. So the Svarta and the Parata, in the entire discussion, I let me summarize, the role of middle term is very much affirmed in Kirti. Middle term, in Aristotelian logic, we say middle term must be distributed, right? In Aristotelian logic. And there is a law of quality analysis and quantity analysis. The positive, negative possibility of a syllogistic reason is brought out very well. Therefore, put them together. This is a classical example. See, Indian philosophers are interestingly wonderful people. You will never forget the tradition. Is it clear? Tradition is good, but not everything of the tradition. Is it clear? Not everything of the tradition, because it is traditional, then it is good, is a wrong logic. Is it clear? So these are the things I want to learn from Kirti. I just want to learn. I wish you would also appreciate learning with me. Number one, perception is not equivalent with empiricist Western sense experience. Purida? It's not completely equivalent. Number one. And perception and inference, I mean, I have proceeded with Professor Panir for an argument and establishment. These two canons of reasoning includes the other canons of reasoning which has been established by other systems of Indian philosophy. Number two. Are you with me? Are you with me? Perception of Buddhism of Kirti and Anubhav of Kirti includes comparison, Anupalapti and Arthapati. Is it clear? Presumption, non-apprehension or non-cognition and hypothesis, right? Arthapati, hypothesis, something like this. It includes. It is the second possibility for question for higher research implication. The third one, I am very sure you will agree with me, Kirti. If Kirti is sitting in front of us, you would never agree with the classification of Indian system as orthodox, heterodox, based on Vedas. Naladana Andali was born before that. 7th century he was born. When these fellows read Indian philosophy books, first, second, third, fourth page, even Radhakrishnan, old student, I am existing. Is it clear? President of and ICP already Mahapurush. Is it clear? Here that Indian systems of thought are classified into two kinds. What are the two kinds? Purusha and Prakriti. Orthodox and then heterodox. Heterodox is secondary, orthodox is primary. Is it clear? Purusha arthas, dharma, artha, kama, it has to be followed by what? By what? A particular category of categorizing people, binary, hierarchical binary, internalized in the system. Adukku near opposite is the Buddhist message. They are not enemies. In fact, they tell us to be co-friendly in the mutuality. So, perceptual knowledge, I go along with this. Almost like Plato, he talks about different stages. Maybe it can be compared to Plato's theory of allegory of the cave. I just repeat this for our purpose. The problem of appearance reality is put to an end. What do you mean problem of appearance and reality? Robert say, silver in the shell, cause and effect. Yeah, that's theory of causation. Theory of causation. Then the theory is Satkarya, Asatkarya. Satya opposite Asatya. Is it clear? You understand my language? The problem of appearance and reality once for all closed. Why it is closed? How does it close? Appearance reality is a physical reality. How does that matter? And it is continued by cultural, conventional, mind constructive. Matter finished. In order to retain your theory of binary categorization of relation. Another political logic is it clear? So my dear students, another possibility is, I think I go along with ancient position, theory can be brought in. Concept without perception includes mind also. Is empty. And percept without concept will be blind. So our consciousness must all the time kept like an axe. Axe in another. It should be sharp. It should be sharp. Is it clear? And you cannot tell the story, the blind man was sitting on the blind man sitting on the blind and the blind fellow carried on the guidance. The question is, concept without percept and perception without concept is illusion. And there is a sense of nominalism. I think and nominalism is what I was telling you about. Naming is not referentially. Naming is a linguistic construct and it is a social business. It's a social affair. The society named him male. Then who named him male? Am I male? Who named these ladies female? Your convention. Suppose you have been named male and I have been named female. You will be calling Mrs. Lourdunathan, please give a lecture. It does not matter. Is it clear? And Derrida is telling you wonderfully that inside. Is it clear? And Kirti is that sense of non-constructive tradition. The word is very important. I think people have read it again and again. Non-judgment, non-constructive. Is it clear? The presence. Anticipated all knowledge, anything that we claim are conditioned by space, by time, by tradition, by culture, by quality. All the language, space, time, quality. Conditioned by language and ideological convention that the sense of being human is sense of becoming conscious of the consciousness with which we were brought up. The object of perception, again already discussed in the morning, is apprehensible. That is direct, particular, experience. It is interconnected level, that is inferential. Where the particular and the universal, the Purusha and the Prakriti, right? The male and the female, the dark and the light, the holy and holy categorization. Either in a mental construct or in a conventional cultural construct needs to be transcended by a mode of synchrony of both, because in Buddhist language, sense of freedom is very important. Once again, do not preach it, the freedom in the sense of some eternal truth. Freedom as a perplex possibility, a flux possibility. Freedom as an infinite, continuous attempt to be free from the conventional mental construct. So that is what we call Shanikam. Is that clear? You get it? I am getting myself every day become conscious of my own, the way my consciousness is conditioned, the way Shanika and the way of dependent Pratitya. So that is why probably I am saying, be aware of the present intensely. Be aware of the present, be it politics, be it education, be it the society. Is it clear? And never take comfort. Comfort means what? In the false conventions and condition your growth. Your mind capability of the sense of being human. Even though the convention is comfortable. Even though to stand under the tree is comfortable, you have to come out of it in order to walk the path. And that is what Buddhism is telling, that every moment is momentarily momentary. Look at a beautiful message. Every moment is momentarily is what? Momentary. And I am not telling you some old theology. Karma, transmigration, I am not going to preach that idea. Every moment is momentarily momentary, meaning that it is precious. That it is precious. That I am sensually anxious of. That I can become conscious and conscious the other in terms of the sense of I want pure. Then wherever again you will come and be pure. A sense of transcending my own consciousness. Probably I think that is how Kirti could be agriculturized. Could be brought into a sensible meaning of our social life. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you are free.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a very wonderful approach. And also after lunch, it's a very provoking lecture. It's a very simple way. And also lucid presentation. With this keynotes, I welcome our students to raise their questions. Guys, it's open for the discussion. So we thoroughly enjoyed your talk in the last presentation. And also, 3 resource persons lectures was very good and very wonderful. And I think our students also enjoyed it. So finally, I welcome, before I welcome our each student to give vote of thanks. On behalf of faculty members and students, I extend my thank resource person all the way people are coming and giving your excellent talk on Indian budget and Dharma techniques. So thank you so much, Madam Sir, Professor Paniswaran Sir, and Professor Srikaran and Professor Lourdunathan. Thank you so much once again. Thank you so much. Now I welcome our Puna to give word of thanks.
Both Buddhist and Western phenomenology, and the reason behind Lourdunathan being called as nominalistic, transcendental idealistic, subjective idealistic, and critical realistic philosophers. Then I would like to thank Professor Srikaran for explaining Lourdunathan's critique of the realistic version of perception, starting with the life of Lourdunathan and then moving to his popular 7 logical treatises, the sutras, the concept of kalpana, arthakriya, samana lakshan and swalakshan pratyaksha, nirvikalp and savikalp pratyaksha, etc., including the explanation of the points regarding NEHRU. Now I would like to thank Dr. Lourdunathan Sir for illustrating Buddhism derived through Lourdunathan's diagram, starting from the explanation, the annihilation of mental construction, illusion or kalpana, and erroneous judgment, synchronizing the particulars and the universal by transcending the categorical binaries. Again, explaining how Buddhist epistemology, metaphysics and ethics are all interconnected, and the two stages of perception, the inferential reasoning and so on. Once again, thank you all of you for the intuitive session. I would like to offer my gratitude to our faculty members, Dr. Lourdunathan Sir, Professor B.R. Shankar, Professor S. Indra Ma'am, and our father, Dr. Jonas. We are also very grateful to the heads and students of various departments who joined us throughout the event. A wide round of applause and thanks to all the participants, including the research scholars, students from our department. Lastly, I would like to thank all of you present here and who have taken part in arranging the event for it to be taking place today and helping us to make this event a successful one. Thank you all.